Hello everyone, I'm Terry Duke, and welcome to my channel. A few weeks ago I compared the modding scene between Mount & Blade Warband and its successor, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, mostly to see how mods in Bannerlord are coming along 4 years after its release. And while in this video I did showcase that there are indeed several massive mods for Bannerlord that are playable right now, there was also a clear acknowledgement that Warband mods will always have more variety. Besides Warband having been released 10 years prior and essentially having 10 years of modding before Bannerlord was even released, the fact that Warband is 14 years old means it's a very small game, it's very easy to run on lower end machines, and very easy to mod in comparison to Bannerlord. But making this video, it got me wondering about just how active the Warband modding community is in 2024. Sure, mods like Prophecy of Pandora are revered in my comment section, but the last update for it was over 4 years ago. Pretend Walda is a classic for me, but its last version was 9 years ago. So as the title suggests, this video is specifically about mods from Warband that are still in active development. First we'll look at mods released just in the past few months of 2023, so they're still fresh and in active development. Then we'll look at mods that have already been released in 2024, and then mods that should come out later this year. As usual, if you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe, and do check out the rest of my channel, because there are many more Warband mods besides the one in this video for you to check out. Now, let's do this. Starting in 2023, and by order of release, we have Adventure in the East. Adventure in the East is a mod set primarily in the Middle East during late antiquity, and is about as immersive as it can get. On top of that, it also features a story campaign, which I do think drags on for a bit, but it's nonetheless interesting for those less interested in a sandbox game. The mod was updated in May of last year and added several minor factions, many of which can establish their own kingdoms if they capture a settlement, as well as a couple of new features and bug fixes. So it's a very solid mod overall, with development still ongoing. If you enjoy a more vanilla experience though, the next two mods also received updates in 2023. First one is Calradia's Borderlands. This mod is set in Calradia, but with a much bigger map, which adds a bunch of new factions with different cultures. This isn't a mod that interests me personally, since mods set in native get redundant for me, but the last update in June 2023 adds even more factions, new items, and fixes a few things. So it might just be an interesting pick if you don't like to venture too far away from Calradia. Similarly, Native New Design is another mod that improves native Calradia with tons of some mods, and this one got an update last September, which added many new features on top of what it already had, which includes new quests, the option to start as an outlaw, and villages having garrisons of militia during raids, among many others. Native New Design is overall pretty good mod, though again, it's mostly expanded native, which has its drawbacks for me, but it might just be what you're looking for. One of Warband's most massive mods though also released an update around the same time, and that's Warsword Conquest. Based on the Warhammer universe, this is one of the most insane fantasy mods available on Warband, and they released the Orc edition in September with a patch also released in October. This update included a massive overhaul of the Orc faction with new items and units, as well as many other improvements and fixes. While making my mod tutorial last fall, I played Warsword Conquest using the Warband script extender, and it ran ridiculously smooth. So if you've never played this mod, this is the best time to do so. But if you were looking for a somewhat less hardcore fantasy mod, Legacy of the Dragon is a pretty good alternative. This mod is set in its own fantasy world with its own story and lore, it has its own share of non-human species, and puts more emphasis on magic via different guilds, which include necromancers and the ability to recruit the dead on the world map. All of which is pretty cool. And this mod also received an update last fall, mostly updating the world map, the items, and the units. And finally, right around the 2023 holidays, World of Vaznar received another massive update. World of Vaznar is a fantasy mod largely inspired by an 18th century Gothic aesthetic. I planned it last minute before doing the most viewed video on my channel, and I ended up putting it as one of my favorite Warband mods for its overall beauty and the simple yet amazing necromancer spells. This last update added tons of new scenery, all more gorgeous than the next, as well as overhauls for all of the factions. In playing it with the Warband script extender, it's a lot more stable than when I played it over a year before. And overall, it's just really good. It's a definite recommend. And those were the mods that received updates just in the second half of 2023 alone, and we can expect more updates in the future. Going into 2024, we got a brand new mod in the form of Wars on Akron, for which I already did an exclusive review. This mod is set in the post-apocalyptic world of Akron, which is mainly inspired by the Fallout games. Besides the immersive world, this also happened to be one of the best gun mods I ever played, as it fixed one of the main limitations that gun mods have in Warband. Do check the full review for details, but yeah, it was released brand new in January, and already got a new version in late February. It's unclear how much work will be put into it going forward, as it was intended to be released relatively complete with future versions versions, mostly meant to fix bugs and optimize the features. Still, the fact that brand new mods of this size are still being done in 2024 for Warband is a testament to the modding community. Other mods that have received updates include The Last Days of the Third Age, the Lord of the Rings mod for Warband. The development for this one is ongoing, with minor updates being frequent. The last one as of this video was on March 2nd. You do need to get it on the Steam Workshop though, as the ModDB version isn't up to date. But yeah, I mean, I won't get too much into it because I mentioned it a couple of times before, but if you want a Lord of the Rings mod, look no further. This is one of the most ambitious mods ever done for Warband. I'm more of a Game of Thrones fan myself though, but guess what? A World of Ice and Fire, one of the two massive Game of Thrones mods for Warband, also received an update recently, specifically on the 4th of March. This new version mostly fixes a bunch of minor bugs, but the fact that the mod is still in active development over 11 years after the latest version found on ModDB is mind-blowing to me. Think of it, I could say the same of others, like The Last Days of the Third Age, but the dedication is just wow. Speaking of which, the last big mod to receive an update in March 2024, to my knowledge, is American Civil War Revived. This is another mod I mentioned a few times by now. In terms of American Civil War mods, there's just no competition. An amazing gun mod overall. And this new update from March 22nd polishes the crap out of the mod, with new historical battle maps and forts, tons of new items and units, new generals, just the whole deal. The mod was already solid, now it's just insane. And with that, these were all the mods that are still in active development and still releasing updates to this day. But we are still in early 2024, there are more mods to come, so let's talk about those. One mod presumably coming in 2024 that's been hyped up for a while is Sengoku Era, essentially a sequel to Gekokujo. Gekokujo is a mod set in feudal Japan and one of my all-time favorites for its sheer beauty and immersion. Sengoku Era is essentially meant to improve upon everything, and I mean everything. New scenery, new items, new map, new features, as well as the addition of a storyline and several unique quests. Going over the mod page and the previews, it just looks insane. It's hard to believe that mods like Shakuho for Bannerlord are coming soon. Meanwhile, Warband modders are still popping out new, complete, total conversions of feudal Japan. I mean, damn. We can also hope for a new version of 457 AD, last years of the Western Empire. 457 AD focused specifically on the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. As such, the map is massive, there's tons of new factions, armors and items, as well as a lot of very ambitious, unique quests. To be clear, I don't know that another version will arrive in 2024, but I do know the mod is still in active development, as they occasionally share updates on my Discord server. If there's one thing that makes this mod stand out though, it's the modding team's obsession with historical authenticity, as each new model, each new item is thoroughly researched. So for any history buffs, that's also a big bonus. Other mods that should receive updates this year include Revenge of the Berserk and Touhou Gensokyo Warfare. Revenge of the Berserk is a highly story-driven mod based on the Berserk manga, and as far as I can tell, it's pretty accurate too. Besides the cool story, adapting the character of Guts, a massive swordsman, into Warband is just amazing. From the giant sword swinging to fighting off an entire army on your own, it's just mind-blowing. And when I mentioned it in a previous ranking, one of the modders reached out to me to let me know there was another update coming soon, so looking forward to it. Touhou Gensokyo Warfare is another total conversion which also features an in-depth story campaign with an anime aesthetic that works surprisingly well for Warband. Even though I don't know the Touhou project and therefore a lot of its charm is probably lost on me, I just fell in love with this mod. Overall, it's great. The mod hasn't been updated in 2 years, but the leader of the modding team reached out in my comment section to let me know they were working on a new update, which, as far as I know, could come at any point now. Maybe they're running a bit late, but I'm pretty sure it'll come out this year. And finally, Paris Snow, my favorite mod of all time, will also be getting yet another update. The last one was over a year and a half ago, but last fall they announced a new version with new units among several other things, and now that they started the Bannerlord version, well, who knows, the extended version might be one of, if not the last. Still, my favorite mod on Warband is still active in 2024, and for that, I'll always be grateful. And that's about it, so asking again, how's the modding scene for Warband in 2024? The answer? It's doing pretty awesome. Putting aside the fact that older mods still work just fine even though they don't get updates anymore, the fact that many of them, actually some of the best of them, are still in active development and frequently updated 14 years after the game was released is simply amazing. And thanks to the Warband script extender, which is 5 years old by now, mods today can be played with much more stability than ever before at higher quality and performance. All this to say, if you're still playing Warband in 2024, you're not behind the times, you're still very much in. And if somehow you've watched that till this point but never played Warband or haven't played it in years, this is as good a time as any to pick up the game, as modding is as easy as it's ever been. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you need more recommendations, again, my channel just has dozens of mod videos by now, so feel free to check it out for other mods to try out. And with that, have a good one.